So let's get started. If you're interested in knowing how to handle the diagram labeling question in the listening section of the IELTS exam, you're in the right place today. The diagram labeling question of the IELTS exam is not the most difficult question on the IELTS exam or in the listening section, but it is a good place for making sure you do get a good score and pick up some points towards getting the score you need in the listening section. Remember in the listening section that the listening section is 30 minutes long. And in the listening section, there are 4 parts. In the first part, you will listen to a monologue, one person talking, and usually it's a regular social interaction type of question where the person will be asking and receiving directions about putting together some kind of arrangement. I'll correct myself. I said it was one person talking. It's a conversation between 2 people having a discussion and making some kind of arrangements. The second part, the second 10 questions are one person talking. And this is the section where you'll most likely see a diagram labeling question, and we'll get back to that in just a moment. In the third part of the listening section, you'll have a conversation among 3 or 4 people who are working on some kind of project together, usually in an educational setting. And in part 4, you'll hear a lecture type situation with one person talking. But let's get back to diagram labeling. And this will be one person describing and introducing something. And in this case that we're looking at today, it's a tour of a library. So let's get started with the first step, and that is always read and listen to instructions. This is always the most important first step in any question you face on the IELTS exam, because you don't want to get partway through a set of questions and discover that you're not really quite sure exactly what you're doing, and then be distracted by having to go back and read and listen to the instructions. So in listening, you're given 2 sets of instructions, one that you read, and as you read the instructions, make sure to underline them. And again, this is just to reinforce the fact that you did indeed read the instructions and you know exactly what you're doing in this type of question. And in diagram labeling, one little thing that's very important to understand is to underline that in this case, on your answer sheet, you are only writing the correct choice according to the letter. So you only write the letter on your answer sheet. And in fact, if you write words, if you write the words that are next to the letter, you won't get the score you need. The instructions are clear, only write the letter. So underline that and make sure that's what you're doing. As you are answering in the listening section, and this is true for each type of question, you'll actually be answering in your booklet with the questions. At the end of the listening section, after the first 30 minutes, then you're given 10 minutes to transfer your answers from your booklet to the answer sheet. And in this case, again, be sure that you just write the letter, the correct letter on your answer sheet. As well as reading the instructions, you're going to listen to the instructions. And I encourage you, as you listen to the instructions, to just make a little note in your booklet as to exactly what the topic of this recording will be. And in this case, you'll be listening to a librarian who is speaking to a group who's visiting the library and giving them a description of what they'll find in the library. So step number 1, read and listen to the instructions, underline the key part of the instructions, and make a note as to what the topic will be. Another advantage to being careful to listen to the instructions is this is where you'll get an introduction to the accent of the person who's going to be speaking on the recording, because you know that in the IELTS exam, you may hear an accent from any English-speaking country, usually Australia, the UK, America, or even a Canadian accent like mine. But you will hear a different accent. So as you're listening, you're adjusting to the accent that you'll be listening to. And then step number 2, as you look at the diagram, you'll want to mark the title and circle any labels that you see on the diagram. So for this diagram, the title is the town library. And as you look at the labels, you'll circle the librarian's desk, the library office, the library area, and seminar room. You'll also you'll circle that there's a fiction section and a nonfiction section. And what you're doing here is you're beginning to orient yourself to the diagram and notice where everything is. And this is what you'll be doing in the time that you're given to look at the diagram and look at the questions. You are given about 30 seconds to do this, so make the best use of your time and really orient yourself to the diagram. And the second step when it comes to this, and as you orient yourself, is to notice on the diagram where the gaps are or where the question points are for each question. And what I recommend doing is just drawing arrows from one question to the next. So in this case, the main place is to recognize where the conversation and where the directions will be starting. And in this case, it's the entrance to the library. So the first thing you'll do is notice where you'll be starting, because you'll want to follow along as you're listening and write your answers on each question line. So find the starting point, which is the entrance, and then just draw a line with an arrow to the first question, number 11. And then draw a line from 11 to 12, and then from 12 to 13, and 13 to 14, and so on to 15. And as you're doing this, you'll see the pattern that you'll be following as you're listening. And as you're following this pattern, you'll see where you're going from the labels that you've already circled. So you know that at the entrance is close to the librarian's desk, and you'll be following from the librarian's desk, and then to a room that's to a location that's in the same room as the librarian's desk, and then you'll go from there into the library area. And you'll see that maybe you'll have to choose an answer according to where it fits in with the fiction section and the non-fiction section. And then you're going from there and maybe through the seminar room, and you're in the room that's maybe beside the seminar room. So you're going to listen for what's located there. And then you move into another room, And all these just give you very good clues so that it makes it quite simple to follow as you're going. And I'll give you one little tip is once you're given your pencil and your booklet, just put your pencil at the entrance and keep your pencil on the paper as you're following through so that you're retracing these lines that you've already made. And you'll be amazed at how easy it is to keep track of where you are as you're going through the recording. And this will really make it very simple for you to hear the answers that you're waiting for. So that's so first of all, read the instructions, mark the labels on the diagram, and then orient yourself by just tracing out ahead of time where you'll be going as you listen to the instructions. The next step that you'll want to take is to just take a look at your options. And again, you'll be only writing the letters. So if the answer is art collection, do not write art collection. Just simply put the letter of the choice that you're making as you go along. Now, I just want to mention something that comes up in a lot of, in all the listening section, is that there are often distractions. And this is not really an attempt to trick you. It's just testing a little further your listening ability. So, for example, just watch out for things like the first example. The shop next to the bakery was a newsagent, but it's now been replaced by a charity shop. And if one of your options was newsagent, that might be an attempt to distract you because they're going to mention it, but then they're going to change the idea. And what you really want to write down is the charity shop. And they might say something like, in the original design, the cafe and bookshop were next to each other. And then they say, however, the plans were changed to locate the bookshop next to the exit. So if you're looking for where the bookshop is located, they'll first mention the cafe, and then they'll say that it's changed and now it's close to the exit. So at first you might be tempted to put cafe, but the real answer is exit. So let me just mention something about the listening section and your strategy for this. In the listening section, make sure you're patient and wait for the answer that you really need. Don't automatically put the first thing you hear. Be patient and make sure it's the correct answer. But as soon as you do hear the correct answer, write it in without delay. Don't hesitate. As soon as you know you've heard the correct answer, put it in immediately. And then don't second guess yourself. Move forward and get ready to hear the next answer. So as soon as you hear the correct answer, put it in immediately and don't second guess yourself and keep moving forward. And this is one of the things that comes up a lot is wanting to recheck your answers or hesitating or not being confident in the answer that you've put. But remember one thing, and in the listening section, you have 40 questions, and your score is based on getting as many correct out of 40 as possible. And if you miss a question, or if you're not sure you put the correct answer, it's very important to keep moving forward because, first of all, you don't lose any marks for a wrong question or a missed question. So if you miss a question or you're not sure, keep moving forward, because you don't want to be distracted to the point that you worry so much about a question you might have missed that you end up missing the next question. And then if you miss the next question, you become even further distracted and you might miss the next one after that. So always keep moving forward. Don't panic if you miss a question, and make sure you get the next one correct. Okay, so the best way to avoid distractions, to be patient, make sure you hear the answer that you're waiting for, and as soon as you hear it, mark it in without delay and move on to the next question. And I hope that will help you feel more confident and help you improve as you practice the listening section. One of the things about diagram labeling when it comes to vocabulary is, again, you don't have to learn a lot of new vocabulary and fancy words and things for the IELTS exam. What you do want to do when it comes to learning vocabulary is learn the most functional language, not the fancy language, the functional language. And when it comes to diagram labeling, the kind of vocabulary that you just want to make sure you're clear on are vocabulary that has to do with direction. Turn right or turn left. Go past. Go straight on. Maybe if you're labeling a map, you'll want to know directions like south and north. But just make sure that you take the time to brush up on the most useful vocabulary, and that's direction words. You'll also want to learn words for location, and these are prepositions of location, like near and next to, in front of, beside, between, across from. These are the words that will be most useful vocabulary when it comes to diagram labeling questions on the IELTS exam. So just brush up for when it comes to diagram labeling, vocabulary for direction, and vocabulary and prepositions of location. These will be the most useful for the listening section and these types of questions. One more key thing that will help you with the listening section and other sections of the IELTS exam is just to be aware of synonyms and paraphrasing, because you will have different labels to choose from, but the words that you hear in the recording might not be exactly the same words. They may be a synonym for one of the words that you're asked to choose from. So, for example, if the answer is reference books, what the speaker might say in the recording is something like this. In the corner next to the history section, you'll find 10 shelves of encyclopedias and dictionaries and directories. So while it may not say reference books, one way that we paraphrase reference books is by using encyclopedias, dictionaries, and directories. So this is just something to be aware of when you're listening. You may not hear the exact word, but you may hear a synonym. So just be aware of that, and that will help you in your strategy and your techniques for the listening section. So, and then it comes time to just simply answer the question. And I want to encourage you to be aware of something else here, and that is that on this section, in this part of these set of questions, you're only answering 5 questions, but you'll notice that you have many more options to choose from. So when you're looking for the answer to number 11, for example, you're choosing 1 out of 9 options. So once you've chosen an option, scribble it out and eliminate it. Because when you're coming to answer the next question, it'll be clear that you're only having to choose 1 out of 8. And then when you choose that one, eliminate it as well. Okay. And then the next one, you'll only be choosing 1 out of 7. And when I say eliminate it, don't just put a little X beside it. Don't just draw a single line through it. Scribble it out so that you can't even see it anymore. And you're not distracted by it. And you're clearly not even going to look at it again. And this is just a little simple thing that helps you find the answer quicker as you're listening. So once you've eliminated an answer, eliminate it from your view so that you don't even look at it anymore. And one more comment about this, and this is an objection that I get to this strategy all the time. And that is, what if I want to change my answer? Or what if I discover that I chose the wrong one and I've scribbled it out and now I can't see it anymore? Well, here's the key. Remember, you want to keep moving forward. If you second guess yourself and keep going back, you'll be distracted and you won't get the next answer correct. So don't hesitate to scribble it out and go on and listen to for the next answer. Well, I hope you found this helpful. I'm going to provide the link so that you can hear the recording and try to answer these questions in your own time. I'll put the link in the comments so that you can give this section a try, and I'll also provide a link for the answers. So I would encourage you, if you want a little practice, give this a try with the strategy that I've shown you today, and I'm sure that you will be successful and that this will be a good step in helping you to practice towards future listening questions.